Trudeau says people across the world are facing climate anxiety. What does that mean? They're afraid of freezing rain today? I don't know. Let's check it out.
And also just the bounce back of our economy with so many jobs created after we came out of the pandemic has put pressures on cost of living, on inflation, interest rates going up to try and keep inflation down, mixed in with the general challenges that people are facing around the world, whether it's anxiety about climate change, anxiety about the pace of change and transformation of our communities, our businesses, our world. The rate of how things are changing around the world is really destabilizing. And that's something that people are going through all around the world right now. And one of the challenges that we're facing as communities is how to hold together.
Drea, are you suffering from climate anxiety?
Before I answered that, I was trying to get a good look because it looked like one of the guys was just smirking the whole time he was talking while he was filming. I'd love to see what his Facebook post was. He's over to the left somewhere. But you know what? Is it climate anxiety or anxiety about what how the government's going to hit us financially over climate? That might be something people are anxious about. But I think when it comes to the youth and the kids, unfortunately, in some ways, this is a real thing that's been created by the government. They call it eco-anxiety. There are students who actually have mental health issues because of this. And why wouldn't they? If they're in an environment, maybe with a teacher who talks about this all the time, they're not given any hope. They're told, unless you fix everything everybody else does and how everything runs in Canada and the society, there is no future. We're all dead. So it is becoming a real thing, unfortunately, as they push it and push it. But something tells me in that room, to the people he's talking to, I don't think they're buying it. I don't think there's climate anxiety in there.
Indeed, I think the climate anxiety is for another reason, i.e. carbon taxes. I mean, think of that audience.
Yeah.
They're carpenters, Drea. And when we saw them leaving the parking lot, what are they driving? Ram pickups, Ford F-150, Chevy Silverados. They need to haul away, haul around their tools, their lumber, etc. So when gas prices keep going up, when carbon taxes keep going up, this guy is taking a bite out of their income. I'm wondering, does anyone buy what this guy is selling? And I say that because we were asking the carpenters as they were coming out of the venue, and we heard from several of them that they weren't allowed to speak to the media. Somebody laid down that mandate.
What?
Including two young guys who said, "We love Rebel News, but we can't say anything." And they jumped in their truck and did a burnout out of the parking lot, as if to suggest that even being seen in our presence might hinder their careers. It just kills me, Drea, how Trudeau and his enablers are so hell-bent on controlling the narrative that they would say to these people, supposedly in a dominion with free expression and free press and freedom of speech, do not talk to the media. Do not say anything bad. It's baffling to me, Drea.
Yeah, it's all a facade. And could we expect anything less from a drama teacher? That's what it is. It's all a show. I mean, you said so yourself. They weren't even allowed to talk to you. So who knows what these people are thinking in their heads? I mean, I don't think they're buying it. I wish we could see that. Oh, there he is. He's in the background there. Anyways, I'm going to let it go. But they're smirking as he's talking. So, he can roll up his sleeves all he wants and control the media, what people can hear. But we're seeing through it. Canadians are seeing what's really happening at a rapid pace these days.
And, I wish there was someone there with more than a off-putting smirk. I wish there was someone with the testicular fortitude to actually give Trudeau a piece of his mind. But then again, you know how it works, Drea. You get doxxed. You might have your bank account frozen. You might get arrested for hate speech. It's just too bad not one single carpenter in that building yesterday really gave that prime minister what for in terms of his policies that work against working Canadians. Let's face it, especially in the blue-collar trades. We should go on to another clip. It's Trudeau bragging about record high immigration levels. I wonder if he's including, how many was it? 39,000 people that immigrated to Canada via Roxham Road last year, Drea. I wonder if he includes that in the immigration total. Let's see what Blackface has to say about this.
But the other thing is, we need more people to come in. I mean, one of the big questions that we get all the time is, as our government is raising immigration levels to the highest levels they've ever been, in a few years we'll be bringing in 500,000 people a year. People are like, well, we already are facing challenges in housing. Where are we going to house these 500,000 people a year? Well, a lot of those people will be able to contribute in the building trades. A lot of those people, particularly now that we are targeting, we've made changes in our immigration system that allow us to target more specifically areas where there are skill shortages or trades shortages. I was just talking about some of the training centers that you guys have in Portugal and other places that will allow people to get up to skills even before they come to Canada so that they can hit the ground running, which is what we need as soon as they get here. So these are things we're looking on. We need to renew our population. We need to renew our workforce. Everywhere around the world, in developed countries, the population is aging. It's a real challenge for everyone. Canada is facing less of a challenge than others because we're still growing through immigration. But there's more to do.
Well, Dre, I call him as I see it, and he's half right. Indeed, our birth rate is lower than 2.0, which is what you need to sustain a country's population in terms of those in the workforce as opposed to those in retirement homes. However, this lackadaisical approach, especially with illegal aliens coming into the country. I love how he's saying this is going to help the building trades. If I'm a carpenter, working on a daily basis and getting a paycheck and paying my taxes, I'm kind of wondering, well, if that illegal alien broke the law right off the bat getting into this country, maybe this is the kind of guy that's working on the sly for cash, not paying taxes, not contributing to the federal coffers, and maybe undercutting me because I have to pay taxes. So maybe some of these people Trudeau is lauding is going to put me and my brothers and sisters out of a gig.
Well, it's a fair question. I mean, and then you talk about the population, how we're decreasing in numbers. And then I can't help but think of we're allowing ads to come here that are teaching our young people who are going to have kids that the best thing they can do for their child is not have another. And then meanwhile, he's saying, bring everybody in to do this. And I feel like as he was saying that, he was struggling himself to believe the words that were coming out. There was he always pauses, but it just seems like he's not even buying it himself. And I always think it's linked to votes as well. He's thinking of future votes so he can live on forever, right? It benefits him to bring people because then he's the guy who brought them here. You're grateful for that automatically.
Drea, you are 100% right in my book, and you'll never see this in the mainstream media, but this is indeed an opportunity for the Liberals to change the demography of Canada. I mean, they're basically saying to illegal aliens, come on in, no problem. You're hashtag welcome to Canada. And the quid pro quo is that every 4 years, just remember, It's Team Red that got you here. That's right.
And we'll let your family get here. Because once you get here, you want the rest of your family here. So of course we're not done. You know what I mean? There's plenty more to come, right? I think we 100%. Have a chat, if I can read it, for those of you who are just tuning in now. If you want to be a part of this and get into the conversation, you can go to Rumble or Odyssey. And if you do a paid donation chat, I call it, because it contributes to our journalism of $5 more. We read it out. So AMT60 says, are any of the rebels going to Christine Anderson's event tonight at the Whitby Christian College? I missed out on tickets. Will the event be recorded and uploaded anywhere? Saw some vids from Alberta tour. So for those of you who don't know who Christine Anderson is, she's a member of the European Parliament who has come all the way to Canada. She's so concerned about what's happened to Canadians under the Trudeau regime that she's out here and just really feeling sorry for us. But yes, that's right. We have covered a lot of it through Alberta. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think we're going to be there tonight, but there's more to come with her as well. And I would imagine her event tonight is going to be recorded at some capacity. Anything else we want to add to that?
Oh, absolutely, Drea. On Monday, I attended Family Fringy Day on a farm, a private farm, somewhere halfway between Hamilton and Cambridge. And Christine Anderson was there, and she very graciously gave up about 25 minutes of her time. I had an exclusive Q&A with her. So that video should be coming out soon. And she's a wonderful lady. She's a German politician who has taken an interest in Canada, and especially Justin Trudeau, calling him, I believe the words were, a disgrace to democracy. And, it was very interesting, this Family Fringy Day. This was to mark, the first anniversary of the Trucker Freedom Convoy in Ottawa. And I found it, Drea, even though it was, very family friendly and there was a wonderful, joyous vibe, at that farm, I found it bittersweet. And I'll tell you why. If you're going to commemorate the first anniversary of the Trucker Freedom Convoy, you would do it on Wellington Street in front of the Parliament buildings and not hundreds of kilometers away close to Steeltown. But the reason is you look around and there was a handful of trucks, including the iconic crane truck with the giant maple leaf flag, that were part of that demonstration. And we all know what would happen if they showed up on Wellington Street, even for a protest lasting a few hours. They would be arrested, maybe violently. They would be fined. They would have their rigs towed away. They might even have their bank accounts frozen. So here is the new rules, folks, when it comes to having a demonstration in Canada that runs contrary to the Liberal Party of Canada. You can demonstrate all you want, but not in the town square, not on a public street. You're going to have to go to private property. And I just wonder how long that's going to last, Drea, before the authorities go, we drove by and we saw some F Trudeau flags. That's kind of insulting. I guess that's the next step in the narrative of these censorious thugs with the Liberals. But I just found it sad that way, Drea, that is where this commemoration had to take place.
Yeah, it is sad, and especially for a family-friendly protest. And it's just a sign of where Canada is with the freedom to peacefully assemble. I mean, I remember watching in other countries protesters who were peaceful being attacked, and that's what has happened in Canada. And so, and of course, it's also sad with the Public Inquiry Commission's ruling as well. So, yeah. But at least it shows that we're not giving up. We're still going. And again, we are still peaceful.
100%. And I got to tell you, Christine Anderson was actually deeply moved. She got into a truck at Vaughan Mills in York Region and drove all the way to this private farm. Well, she wasn't driving. She was the passenger. And she was greeted not only with several Canadian flags, but the flags of Germany too. And
nice.
I think she teared up a bit by that. She wasn't expecting that kind of, grassroots Canadian hospitality. And it was a wonderful day. And at least we can still commemorate these events on private property. But like I said, Drea, it might only be a matter of time before that gets shut down too, because one of the failings of our Constitution is that private property rights are not guaranteed at all. In fact, the government can freely expropriate property. But that's a subject for another day. Before we go to our next ad break, let's go to our last clip thankfully, of Justin
Yeah.
Trudeau.
Get it out of our system.
Yeah, I think of that line, he speak with forked tongue, because he seems to say we need to support illegal immigrants from Roxham Road, but we also have to discourage it at the same time. What? Let's check it out.
People have confidence that we have an immigration system that works, that there are rules to follow, that people come here and, come because they're qualified. And because we have two big oceans, well, three big oceans on all three sides of us, and a very attractive and warmer country immediately to our south, we haven't, in our history over the past many decades, had a lot of irregular migration, which causes people in the States and in Europe to be a little more worried about immigrants coming. So it's nothing innately Canadian that we're nicer or more generous. We've just had a certain amount of luck as a country to not have to deal with too much irregular migration. Over the past years, we've had a higher number of people coming in through Roxham Road in Quebec, which has caused a certain amount of consternation. Not so much that we can't handle, but we have to be really present to make sure that we're supporting people as they come through, while discouraging them from doing that at the same time.
What in blue hell did he say in that almost 1 minute long clip, Drea? No, our Canadian immigration system is not working when, as I said, last year we had some 39,000 illegal immigrants come into Canada. So right off the bat, you're breaking the law. But the Royal Canadian Mounted Police become the Royal Canadian Mounted Bellhops. They actually carry their luggage in. It's a disgrace. This should be ended. I mean, this is all due to the Safe Third Party Agreement, in which once you are a migrant in a so-called safe country, that's where your journey ends. And you know, Drea, that a couple of years ago when this Roxham Road disaster first happened, this was Justin Trudeau taking a pot shot at Donald Trump, because under mean Donald Trump, migrants weren't safe in the United States of America. But there's been regime change. You got the Biden Democrats.
Yeah.
The southern border is a sieve, for God's sakes. People are, hundreds of people are coming in every day. So and also I want to understand the genesis of this agreement. Why does it only apply, Drea, to regular border crossings and not so-called irregular border crossing? That is a enormous loophole. Why the drafters of this agreement, didn't they think this was going to be exploited?
Yeah, I mean, perhaps that's intentional. I don't know. I can only theorize that. But he also throws in the Roxham Road. He's like, oh yeah, nothing that we can't control. Well, how are you controlling it? It's this gaping portal that everybody knows about, to the point that you've got New York giving people bus tickets to get through it. And you're saying that it's not something you can control. Again, hot air is coming out and it's getting too hot.